Hey, welcome to Performance Reviews, where I give you a review from the technician's point of view. And today I have a Dyson UP19, and we're going to be servicing this. It came from a house with 5 Malamutes, and you can see it is absolutely gross and disgusting. Cyclone's full of crap. So we're going to break it down, we're going to wash it, attempt to get the animal smell out. There's a good chance the animal smell is not going to come out of this machine, just because there's stuff in here. This is not really practical or cost effective to take apart. It's a changes a whole assembly type thing anyways from Dyson. So we're going to break it down as much as we can. First, we're going to start off by separating it and looking at those filters that last a lifetime. Of course, they don't actually last a lifetime. They're good for about 6 months to a year before they need to be replaced. This one is garbage. So we're going to throw that away. And you can see hair and debris does move through here because cyclones and the pre-motor filter still just don't catch everything. I mean, there's hair in there. So, but, and that came from inside where the motor is exhausted. So just to give you an idea, and these gaskets also don't last forever either. Again, this isn't really something that's meant to be replaced individually. It's meant for you just to throw away the machine, be done with it.
I just want to mention, stick around later in the video. We're going to change camera angles and get you a better view of what's going on as we put it back together. But there's a lot of important information that is mentioned when taking it apart, so definitely watch that as well.
And people ask, what is the life of Dyson? Well, according to Dyson, it is 2 to 4 years, is what Dyson has said several times on conversations I've had in the Dyson store and conversations I've had at trade shows with them. So they seem to think that that's they kind of brag about that at one point. You can see right there all the hair. And this channel is a huge problem with this nozzle design. Now, they've recently scrapped this nozzle and went to a better what might be a better nozzle design. I'm hesitant to call it a better nozzle design, but it is a different nozzle design that they've gone to. So maybe we'll see improvement on that. I kind of doubt it. I feel like they just went to that nozzle design kind of just to save money because they can interchange more parts with their stick vacuums. You can see just hair builds up in there, in this section right here. Hair will build up. So what I'll end up doing with this is grabbing my impact gun. All right, it's a T10. Yep. So now the thing to do is this right here, is you want to just clean under this as well. So we're just going to set this up on its side. Pull the one screw out. And we're going to do the same on each side. And when I did that, notice all that hair and stuff just popped right out from under there. This one's pretty good. I suspect this was replaced at some time by the Dyson store. From when speaking to the customer, they would bring it to the Dyson store fairly regularly and have them fix it under warranty. And the Dyson store doesn't clean anything out, unfortunately. So that just kind of defeats the purpose of changing a part if you leave the problem in the part that caused it to break in the first place. And the reason they don't do that at the Dyson store is they don't want to admit that their machines need any sort of service or maintenance, which bagless vacuums really need a lot more service and maintenance than bagged counterparts. Not that Dyson makes bagged vacuums, but if they did, they would be better. All right. And this is one of my new favorite tools that I've been using. It's an impact driver, so it's a little bit different mechanically than a drill. I don't like to use this to put screws in, but to take screws out, this is fantastic. Yep, and again, we have more hair just under here. This design just does not lend itself well to basically heavy use. Hair, really anything. It's again, that's one of the things why you see people who fix vacuums don't recommend Dyson. You don't see people who have used really other brands recommend Dyson either. This makes the process a little faster as well. So I'm going to pull this section out. Again, you can really see how this is set up to restrict rather than let stuff flow. So now let's grab a central vacuum and suck some of this crap out. The next step here is to break the cyclone apart, and be careful because some springs are going to go flying when we do this. I find a paint scraper is super nice for doing this. I like to just come in here and pop it open like that. I also find this is probably the best in terms of not marring the unit. Again, a spring's going to come flying out here, so just be aware of that. Be ready to catch that. All right, there's the spring right there, and that's just going to go to the side. So right away, you can see how gross that is. So why you wouldn't just want all that to go into a vacuum bag that you could throw away is beyond me. Why you want this stuff just living in your Dyson, I mean, that is just gross. Like, I don't know. I don't know why you would think this is somehow better than a bag, because this stuff just kind of all sits in there. And this is what's making the smell of this machine, because it's literally decomposing in here. So I haven't seen this in a while, but you can see this cyclone has a clog in it. And that's one of the things that happens, is these cyclones just get full of crap and stop moving air. Now, the other thing I haven't done yet that needs to be done is this needs to get separated here, this shroud. So it is full of dirt and debris, so it's going to be kind of a bitch to get apart. But you need to get that shroud apart because it's full of stuff. And again, paint scrapers are your friend for doing this. Peeling it with the paint scraper, the plastic paint scraper. And again, there's more stuff just living in here. Absolutely gross and nasty. So we're going to go ahead and turn the central vacuum on again and clean some of this up. Now the other thing you need to do on a Dyson is you need to check these hoses and this valve, because this all of this can break in there. And once that's broken, screw it. You can put this stuff back, but it is not fun. It is not easy. It is not great. Yep, this is all clear. So once any of this stuff breaks, again, it's really kind of a hassle to get to on there. So now that we've vacuumed some of this stuff out, now we got to wash the insides of these thoroughly. So I don't hand wash anything if I can avoid it. We have a dishwasher, and basically with these Bosch dishwashers, they have an inline heater. It doesn't melt things. It's kind of one of the specialty items I use here. I'm just going to turn this on. Alright, the Dyson has taken a trip in our dishwasher and is now much cleaner and smells a heck of a lot better. In fact, I don't smell any Malamute rotting dog hair in here anymore, which is a really good thing. So we're just going to start assembling this. You can see that just made it in there and got super clean. Just really, really easy. So we're just going to start assembling this. And this is a little wonky to assemble because, again, springs go everywhere. I have always disliked how complicated this cyclone is to take apart. So the key to doing this is, you see that the spring naturally will fall in here, but that's the wrong position. You actually are winding the spring in here. Why you do that? So that's kind of the key terms to getting this thing to spring open again. There's the part I remember being difficult. So you're actually going to turn this spring to fit in there, and that is a little difficult. However, I do have a way of doing this, and this is basically how we're going to do this. So we are going to just turn this where it should be. Their needle nose. Push down. Next, we are going to follow that up where that should be with a flathead, like so, making sure it's still in its place. It is in its happy place. Now, there is a little thing where it goes, so that's important. My spring fell out over here. I will find that or put that in later. That can be done afterwards. What's important right now is that we make sure this spring is going to go in properly. And if it's giving you trouble, so now that that's in, notice that spring is now working. Again, that's the hard part. You can then reattach this later from the outside. That's not an issue. This right here with this square thing is going to line up with this square thing here. And you have to be careful. This screen rips really easily. And this is a whole assembly, by the way. This is not something you can get individual parts for or anything like that. You know, this is a whole assembly. Manhandle it into place. Throw this on here. And unlike the original Dyson Ball, you can actually shut this and run it without the filter. Got a new filter in there, like so. So that part is good. Now the cyclone bin assembly. Just need to pop this in. So off camera I had to push this back in, but that's now in. So now everything can be reinserted. I'm going to line that up. And now that's in there. And when you're all done, boom. So that's the bin assembly. Again, a hassle that doesn't need to be there if you use a simple vacuum bag. So on to the cleaner head. You want to make sure these spin freely. This one has a little bit more resistance than I like. That's a 15, of course. Dyson loves T15s, and the original Dysons only used T15s, and then they had to start deviating from that, of course, and using other sizes like T10s and others. So we can pull these end caps off, but you have to be careful because they can break. Alright, see there's some schmutz in there, so we can go ahead and just vacuum that out. And once that's been cleaned, now you can press this back on. Ooh, that spins beautifully now. That's really all you have to do to get these things working properly. And I recommend doing this by hand. I would not do this with the impact driver because this can just pop out. So that one spins versus that. So give you an idea what we're doing. And I believe this brush roller was replaced at Dyson. I think that's what they did last time it was brought in, just judging by how clean and new it looks. Alright, that feels better. I'm just going to go ahead and give it a little bit of lubrication in there. Just real quick. And again, that will make this spin properly. And that's the thing with Dyson, because the material quality is so bad that any little thing like that can just stop it up, and that can be the end of your Dyson if you're not careful. So these are what are going to go just right here. I'm going to put that guy in. And he doesn't need to be tight on there. You don't need to torque this down. This can just be hand tight. Just make sure you go all the way down. Good. That's as tight as that needs to be. And we'll do that on the other side. These drive identical. You can mix them up. It's not a big deal. All right, we're all torqued. So now we just put this back like so. So the brush roller is now in. We're going to put this on, and this is difficult. So your natural inclination is going to be to hold it from this section. You actually need to hold this section when you lever it in because it's like an accordion that moves. That was Dyson's attempt at putting a height adjustment in a nozzle. Did not work, as usual with Dyson. Bad engineering, executed worse. Alright, so that fits in there. Again, this floats up and down, but not really because there's a wheel here. Alright, so that's the nozzle. Now, I started off with these 3 screws. They go to something else, don't worry about them. But now I have these 3 bits, which are kind of important. So, this goes right here. I'm not sure I showed this on camera, but this guy, he rotates like this. Now, if he's stiff, you can give this bearing oil. It's not going to hurt anything. This is not like a high-speed, high-use bearing. But then you're just going to take needle nose pliers, and you're just going to do that. And you see there's a lock nut there to keep him from unrotating under force. Again, you don't need very much tension on this. And that, yeah, that does the Dyson ball nonsense. And then you can see that these clips go in here and they rotate just like a little turn like that as well. Now, when you're putting this filter on, there's a couple things I recommend doing. A little bit of pledge around these gaskets makes a huge difference when we're dealing with this filter. I am still waiting for the new filter to come in, but that just lines up. You want to make sure the arrows line up. And then this is just going to twist on there like this. And you're going to hear it like a gas cap. And then you know it's ready to go. Now let's join the cleaner head with the rest of the unit. And for this, I like to turn the unit upside down like this. Hold it with my belly. That clip just goes on there like that. And this clip did not make it in the dishwasher, and I'm seeing just a little bit of schmutz on there I want to clean off where it was dragging on the carpet. Again, that's part of the problem with high pile carpet. This will drag, as you saw the evidence of the schmutz, because the wheels are so far away from this, stuff can get in this. Again, this is not a great design, and it has many shortcomings, which is why I don't recommend Dyson products really to anybody for anything. But they are repairable as of right now, so I like that about them, at least. So yeah, I think my Dyson here looks pretty good, all things considered, considering its high mileage. Plug her in. Why that motor doesn't sound the healthiest, it is what it is, from coming from the cost-cutting measures that are Dyson. Everything else seems to work. It even sucked up a minute amount of dust from my bench, so I appreciate that. It shows it's working. If this video was helpful, give it a thumbs up. If you like our content, go ahead and hit that bell notification. That's even more important than the subscription if you want to see our latest videos. If you want to talk about this, go on down to the comment. If you want to talk about something else, check out our Discord server where we talk vacuum cleaners all day long. And have yourself a fantastic day.